Okay. Hey, Lucky, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm good, Kyle. How's things?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. It's a little bit cold over here. I think
Uh,
it's like 8 degrees today. So,
you
hanging.
know, it doesn't get cold here.
No, not at all. I think that's what's making me miss South Africa, especially this time of year. I'm sure the weather's quite nice where you are.
Very nice, very nice. A bit cloudy. I'm in Kimberley, actually,
Okay.
in the Northern Cape.
Mm.
Kimberley is like very, very, very hot.
Yeah.
Most of the time. We got a short winter here.
Uh,
So, like, starts from from spring, from around September, October, it starts getting warm. By
mm.
December, crazy, crazy, crazy hot.
Yeah. I
December.
think I've got a cousin that lives out in Kimberley actually, and he's always complaining about how hot it is, especially in the peak of the summer months. He's like, "Oh man, it's getting to like 40 degrees." I think you said to me last week it was something crazy like that.
Like around 40 last week. And it was not the hottest. There
No?
was hot.
Uh,
There were hotter.
yeah, you keeping busy
Yeah.
though? How's things going for you? You keeping well?
No, I'm keeping well, man. I'm keeping well. It's just that, the industry has slowed down a lot,
Yeah,
because of the pandemic.
of course, of course.
Yes.
I think I noticed last year in the UK the bars and clubs started opening about June last year. And it was crazy because it was quite intense. It was like it was completely different to 2020, but it's again, I think since maybe December time, it's kind of died down again, and January is usually quite quiet. So now everyone's
Yeah.
wondering like, how's it going to be this year? But as long as
Yes.
we move, I think that's the main thing, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. We
So
want to see some some things happening,
of
so that
course,
life can go.
that's right, that's right. So are you working at the moment on any kind of music, or you just taking some time out whilst the industry is slow?
I'm I'm busy with my a project of mine, but it's more jazzy. It's more like on a jazzy vibe.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's something
Uh,
about jazz actually. I don't know if it's the same where you are, but I noticed since maybe 2017, especially in the UK, you had guys like Yusuf Kamal, Alpha Mist, and they all
yeah.
start. There's like a new resurgence of jazz musicians coming up, and I don't know much about South African jazz, but you get involved with the jazz scene over there.
Yeah, but I haven't been involved in a lot of the projects that have been going around these days.
Hmm.
So yeah, things have been a bit slow. And I was also too many times thinking about stopping the music at all.
Yeah.
I just enjoy listening to it.
This is yeah.
Like too hectic for me these days.
I think I can understand that because it's hard. Like you said, since the pandemic, it's the momentum has slowed down, and trying to get that
Yeah.
momentum again is quite hard, especially when things are uncertain, right?
Some of the guys are still trying hard, to get projects out. That's why I was saying that I'm busy with a jazzy project of mine that
Mhm.
I'm not sure when I'll have it out yet.
Okay.
Uh, but maybe I'm gonna send you a few tracks you can listen to.
Please.
It's not, yeah, it's a little bit jazzy, not jazz.
Okay.
It's a jazzy, on a lighter note.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was listening to Saint Germain.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I listened to his album. I think he released in '96, and that was incredible. Again, it's like house music, but it's got that jazzy influence. Very smooth and mellow, but still quite upbeat.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I've got mine is a mix of everything. There's slow tracks, there's maybe one or two with vocals
Mm.
and a few just plain instrumentals and some a little bit more jazzier than the others. So
Of
it's
course.
a mix of everything.
No, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. I will. If you send that over to me, I would really appreciate it because that is my vibe. I like to play a lot of different styles because maybe
That's nice.
if I stay in one style, you know, sometimes I get a little bit bored, so I wanted to move along. And you can create a nice story, you know, with different styles of music. And you know, just going back to your album that has been reissued on Rewarm, You Got Me Dancing. There's a lot of different influences in that as well. So I take it you've always had an interest in different styles, different vibes, and mixing them together.
Yes, I mean, even if you listen to the You Got Me Dancing album also, you can hear there's, I think, 2 hip hop or rap, you know, that old style rap. And there's a few 2 ballads also, and then there's dance tracks on that. So I was always not focused on doing just one thing.
Of course.
You know, I always a few different things at the same time.
So, I mean, that gets me onto the first question. When did the musical journey start? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started in '84. In '84, I started actually started performing professionally in '84. Then we started moving around with the band African Sounds. So then we ended up in Joburg, because of in Kimberley, where I grew up, there's not enough of opportunities for artists. Especially, there's no recording studios, there's no radio stations, there was nothing here. So the only way to make it and to reach the people in the whole South Africa was to go to Joburg. So that's what we went to Joburg with the band. And that's where we started meeting different people and learning more about the industry.
Yeah, I think it's quite a common thing, right? Where you see it right now. A lot of my friends who I started DJing with, they've moved to London, because in London, there's obviously more people, there's more opportunities, there's also sometimes I feel, I don't know if it was maybe the same for you, but if your music is quite niche and quite not like pop music, it can be quite hard to gain traction in the small town where you live. So it's better to progress that way, to go to the bigger places, right?
Yeah, where you can find more people who like what you do.
Of course, yeah. That it makes complete sense. So what was the African Sounds? What style of music were you making in '84?
Actually, that time, most bands, because of like I said, the small town vibe, where there was no recordings and no band was recording at that time around here. Most you guys had to go to Joburg, but around here we had to do covers. So we did cover versions of all the music, mainly American and British stuff. So we did international stuff, mixing it with local hit songs. And that's like we hit club circuits and doing clubs and events and all that. But that was what was happening. Most of the bands just mainly did covers.
Covers, yeah. I watched a documentary last week after our chat, and I suppose maybe like, so in the '80s it was bubblegum, right?
Yes, actually bubblegum came shortly after the funky time, because there was a time when the music was more funk. African music was like almost like the American music, which had a lot of funk in it. So now when bubblegum started, it was when music started becoming electronic. So now they were not using live drama in the studio, live basses, live guitars, everything was sequenced on a keyboard.
Yeah.
So sequencing a bass on the keyboard and having a live bass player made a change in sound. You know, brought a big difference. Playing the guitar parts on a keyboard is different from on a real guitarist.
Of course,
so all those elements changed the music completely, and it ended up in the bubblegum style.
Nice.
It ended up bubblegum, yeah.
So like, I think that era is maybe, I've got, I'm sure you know Dave Okapi from
Yes.
Epperson. So I've got a compilation that he released with Cultures of Soul, and it covers 80 to 84. And you had artists like my father used to listen to guys like Neville Nash and
Yes, yes.
Benjamin
Good friend.
Ball. Yeah.
Well, Neville is my friend.
Mm.
We haven't spoken in a while, but we hanged out a lot, performed, we worked in the studio together, and yeah.
Oh, nice, man. That's so cool, because here's a funny story for you. As I was growing up and my father's listening to Neville Nash and Benjamin Ball, and I'm
Also, fine.
also, yeah. And I was listening to it because I was like maybe 9, 10 years old, and I was like, oh man, what is this music? It's so rubbish. Why are you listening to this old music? But fast forward 20 years later, and now I'm interested in it, and I'm like, wow, this is really, it's really cool, actually.
You find jewels in that all the trouble.
So what was the music culture like at the time? And I suppose in particular that era of South Africa, it was a lot of segregation, political, just difficulty. So what was the importance of music for yourself? I'm sure, it was something that lots of people, it brought them together.
Yeah, it was like when you mentioned the segregation part of things, the music, we were limited to what we sing about and how we perform, what we portray, even the colors of clothes you wear on stage.
No way.
If you were wearing that had the ANC, because the ANC was banned at the time. But if you wear something that's got ANC colors on stage, you might be visited by the police like in a short while.
Yeah.
At that time, I also, during the bubblegum time, I also was part of the backing band for Yvonne Chaka Chaka. I don't know if you remember Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, I backed Yvonne Chaka Chaka, I backed Chico. They had songs, like Yvonne had a song called, I can't remember what the song, but the song was about Winnie Mandela. But the song was the name of the song was Winning My Dear Love. But when they sing it, they say Winnie Mandela.
Yes.
They had to hide what they wanted to say to the people. And Chico had a song called Manelo. And Manelo was actually Mandela. And it was like all those things were in the music, but it was like hidden.
Yeah, so it's like there's like a subliminal message, but you have to be clever with how you do it, because I suppose censorship, right? They don't want freedom of speech. That is what was a big part of the fight against apartheid. I suppose was just equality and freedom and wanting to be able to be free and be able to communicate.
Yeah. So there was a lot of limitations. So the apartheid era really limited a lot of people, most of us, for what we wanted to say in songs and how we wanted to do our music. We were limited. So, but we went through it.
Of course. And did you personally get in trouble for pushing the limits a little bit, or did you maybe play it quite safe because you had to rely on your profession for your income?
No, we actually, because some of the products that we are playing, like from the records of the artists we were backing, it was already censored. By the time it comes to the stage, it's already censored by the record companies, by the radio stations, because of if your song has something that needs to be censored, it won't be playing on radio. It won't appear. So everybody had to find a way of doing it. So on stage, yes, like I said, I used to back Yvonne Chaka Chaka. On stage, she was not saying, on the album cover, it's written Winning My Dear Love. But on stage, when we perform, she used to say Winnie Mandela. Yeah. So just like, so when we perform on stage, he used to say Mandela. not Manelo.
Of course.
Yeah, but it almost, yeah, nobody used to get into really big trouble with that.
It's interesting because I was listening to a Red Bull lecture with Black Coffee, and he was saying at the time, I suppose we're fast forwarding now to the 90s, and Mandela was released from prison, apartheid had ended, but he was saying that even into the early 2000s, you know, you still had this, I suppose, censorship in a way that it was free, but it wasn't really free because I suppose, again, just political issues, right?
Yeah, music changed a bit into the 90s. Into the 90s, that's when Kwaito started and bubblegum started dying out. So the newer artists were more braver and things were different because of also after the release of Mandela, then things were open so people could speak freely. And the newer artists had a different way of looking at things. So if you listen to the lyrics of the Kwaito era, it's different from the bubblegum era.
Of course, it's a completely different feel because I suppose with the Kwaito, you had, would you say, more of a hip hop influence? And also you had the influence of Chicago and Detroit and house music. So my understanding was they pitched the music down and then
that's again what I wanted. They actually took a house, like Chicago type house. They slowed it down and it turned into a different vibe. And some of the guys actually remixed songs. They just took a song, they didn't reprogram. They just took a song and slowed it down and do their a rap in vernacular. So then it came Kwaito.
Of course, but you can see the similarity with the bubblegum, and you mentioned that the rapping that you did on your album. It's still there, right? Because there's a certain style of South African rap it's very unique to the culture.
Yeah, true. It's evolving slowly, but you can still hear those South African feels and you know how guys do things here. You can still hear, even if you don't know where an artist is from, but you can pick up from listening to the style. You can hear that this is South African.
Yeah. And what were you working on specifically in the 90s after you released your album? What work did you go on to do after that?
I played in some bands after promoting my album, and it didn't really do that well because of the financial constraints. We didn't have enough to promote the album as much as we would have loved to. But after that, I still proceeded playing with bands and then slowly turned to studio work. So I ended up doing a lot of studio work, producing and engineering for other artists.
I suppose it's a way of adapting, right, to the situation as it was. Yeah. So when you made it, obviously, like, let's maybe jump to current day, and You Got Me Dancing was reissued, and there's a big reissue culture over the last few years. Did you ever think that, at the time when maybe it wasn't as successful, did you ever think, oh, there will be a stage later down the line where a new generation might pick up this music and run with it?
Never in a million years would I have this would happen.
Yeah.
You know, when you think of a song that passed its time, you can actually build a gravestone for it and forget about it, But it's a shock. It came as a shock to me when actually there's a guy from Canada who first contacted me and asked me a lot about the song and told me that he plays the song in clubs. Dean, I don't know if you know.
Dean, yeah, I know Dean, yeah.
Yes, Dean. Dean is the first guy that actually got hold of me and started talking about this album. And I was surprised that somebody out there is listening to this kind of music, which I thought completely dead.
It's interesting because I think when I visited Maboneng in 2017, and that's when I met Okapi and Dean. So Dean runs La Casa Tropical, right?
Yes.
And it's funny because I booked them both to play in the town where I live. We both DJ'd two separate parties, with one with Okapi and one with Dean. And it was interesting that I found it interesting that, like I say, when I was listening to the music my father listened to when I was younger, I never thought myself that our generation would pick up that music and try to share it to a brand new audience. Maybe it's a sign, you know, technology, the industry's changing. We can reach more people easily with the internet, you know?
Yes, yes. Yes, I just wish things were like this back then. And it's been easier for us, you know, to touch the world with our music. But now you could only do that in your small little area, you know. So, but now I'm glad that you guys can actually do this worldwide, you know.
Worldwide. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, because that, like you say, this music can now touch people all over the world. Yeah. So you know, going back now to living in, let's say, townships, small places, a big thing is you know, dancing. Like, I'm talking like Pansula. And you know, I remember being at high school in 2004, and you had these they call them Majaivans, you know. And
yeah.
So was that always something that was in the culture that we had? Obviously I grew up and I experienced a certain part of it, but I don't know what it was like, let's say pre-90s or from that era.
Yes. Yeah, in the township, it was all about music is about dancing. So even when genres of music change, or it evolves from one stage to another, it's caused by the styles of dancing, not by the music itself. The dancing makes if you look at the Amapiano, the songs are made by dancing more than by music.
Yeah.
So some songs become bigger hits because of the dance style, not because of the song is nice, but because of the person who releases a video or becomes viral on YouTube or Instagram. The style of dancing they have makes a song. So dancing has always been the thing, you know. Just that my time, because we were musicians, we were playing. I'm a bassist, so dancing has always been something that we love. But because we're carrying instruments on stage, so it was not that easy to do all the dance moves and all that. So we focused on making people dance than on actually. Yeah.
You are the vibe creator, really. You know, you are there to. Yeah, it's sometimes I don't know if maybe you see it the same, but for me, I think dancing is and being in a venue where there's great music. It's like a religious experience. You know, you just go and you lose yourself to this. It's because it's energy. You know, it's energy that is being shared between the person sharing the music and the dancers, and you're like, it's almost like a conversation in a way. You know, you're vibing with one another.
You find yourself in a trance, you know, of sound and rhythm and movement. You know, it becomes one thing.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I think I've never seen anything connect people like music. Just bring them together and unite them, regardless of whether the age, the race, you know, the gender, doesn't matter.
True, 100% true.
As part of the documentary I was watching last week, there was talks about. So I understand you were in a band, but this was surrounding, I suppose, club culture. Did you ever? Did you ever find yourself in the club culture of the time maybe as a DJ, or was it very much that bands were in a venue where you play the music and DJs and clubs were separate? Was that two separate things, or did they ever merge together?
No, at that time when I was playing in clubs, DJs couldn't live without bands, and bands couldn't live without DJs. We always had band play maybe one set, and then the DJ plays another set, just like that, giving each other breaks until the night is over. We start maybe around 8 p.m. until like 4 or 5 p.m. going on through the night.
Nice.
Just from DJ to band. Sometimes even swapping bands, sometimes swapping DJs, but that was always the culture.
Sure.
It always went.
And is there any places that you remember fondly, like certain venues or certain parts of? This was all in Johannesburg. You always stayed in Johannesburg, or did you maybe go to Durban, East London, Port Elizabeth?
I've been all over the country. In Kimberley, the big club that we used to play at was a club called Kim by Night. That was the club that hosted a lot of bands from outside Kimberley, from Cape Town, from Joburg, from everywhere. And we used to be like the resident band there. And from there, we went to Joburg. Joburg, I played, I'll say clubs, that maybe you don't even know. Like Club Status. There was Club Status. It was in Eldos. In town, there was Countdown. There was Club Babylon. There was a lot of clubs that we played in town. Seventh Heaven. Yeah, there was a lot of clubs. In Durban, we played a lot of clubs also in Durban. I can remember a few. There was the Butterworth. It was a hotel, and they had a club. And then there was Lipstick in Durban also. Very nice, vibey club.
Lipstick.
And Cape Town. Yeah. Cape Town, we played clubs like the Galaxy, the Menenberg. I can't remember most of the clubs. There are a lot of places, a lot of clubs around the country.
No, the reason I ask is because I like the idea of documenting certain things, My era of clubbing and DJing, it never took place over there, but it's just nice sometimes to hear about these things and these places. Like you mentioned a club in Eldos. I didn't live very far from Eldos, Ennerdale, That's where I grew up.
That was supposed to be actually.
What time was this? What year was it roughly?
I don't know. When we got to Joburg around 84, 85, that club was already big. It was like the club. And these guys had a place. It was like a farm, like around Eldos. It was like a farm. So in the farm, they had a place. The whole farm was called Fun Valley.
I know Fun Valley. Yeah. I know Fun Valley.
Inside Fun Valley. So inside there was like big pools for swimming. There was big pools where you can ride boats and stuff. And there was a big stage where they used to hold events. They used to host big events where they used to have festivals and have like 6 to 6, those 6 to 6 festivals where they have like 30 bands playing or so, and big name bands. So that was a nice place to be. So we used to be the resident at that place, the resident band at that place.
Nice.
So those were the times, man. It was beautiful.
No, it's nice because my father used to take us to Fun Valley, especially to go swimming in the pools. I remember going there as like, small lighty, like 9-10 years old again, just like, but I didn't know of the other entertainment. I was really young. So for us, it was just nice to go out because we had a family braai, we would swimming pools, just, having fun.
Picnic vibe they had there.
Yeah, yes. I did enjoy that a lot. That social element, of people coming together. And maybe it's why I work as a DJ these days, because it's lovely when people come together and you can, like I said, connect over music and just share nice experiences, memories.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we're doing what we do. Yeah, because we want to touch people.
Let's go back to the record. Dean contacted you maybe, and you guys were talking about maybe reissuing You Got Me Dancing, but you ended up doing it through Rewarm. So Ali and Mickey, how did that relationship start?
Mickey touched me. He contacted me via email, which I also believe he got my contacts from Dean. So from there, and he was also in contact with Gallo. From there on, me and Mickey started talking. Mickey and Ali, we started talking a lot, and we ended up coming up with the agreement of re-releasing the album. And I was happy for this to happen. I was very happy for this to happen because it's something that I never thought would ever happen.
Yeah, of course.
So,
in more recent years, what did you ever progress? I know you said you still work as a sound engineer?
Not that much. For the past few years, I stopped like taking gigs to go and engineer live shows, or even to go do gigs in the studio, like recording gigs and stuff like that. So I've been selective. So, but then I've been working a lot with a guy called Dino Bravo, DJ Dino Bravo. He's a very popular DJ around. He worked for YFM. He worked for Metro FM.
I think I saw you guys did an interview on TV one time, the two of you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you still work with him?
Yeah. So I did 2 albums with him. Actually, yes, 2 full albums, and quite a number of singles that we did together. So he's the guy I've been with a lot, and I've been working with a few different DJs, just remixing stuff and just getting stuff out in the studio. So yeah, it's been a bit slow, but I was part of the Kwaito generation also. I got into the Kwaito movement, produced and engineered for guys like Cabello. I don't know if you know the album called Pansula for Life. There was a big album. It was the biggest at the time.
Rings the bell, yeah. I'm sure if I saw it or heard it, it will all come flooding.
Yes. Yes, I worked on that album, Pansula for Life. And I don't know if you know the band called TKZ.
Yes, love TKZ.
Yes, TKZ. Cabello is from TKZ.
Of course.
And the other guy also from TKZ, Tokolo, is also from TKZ. I also did this album. I actually did those 2 albums at the same time. I used to work Cabello during the day and Tokolo at night. And they used to work 8 hours or more each per day. So I used to only have like 3-4 hours of sleep per day. Just go home, take a shower, take a little nap, and back to the studio. So I did 2 albums. I did 1 album for each guy. So that was the Kwaito generation, and a few other guys also I did. I did also a Kwaito guy in Namibia. He was the biggest. I don't know if he still is big in Namibia, but his name was The Dog. So The Dog was very big. So they asked me to go produce stuff for him that side. So I went there and produced 2 or 3 albums for him that side. So I was also part of the Kwaito generation. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because I remember TKZ. It was late 90s, right? 97, 98. They had an album called Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think we went to Cape Town to visit my my Oma and Opa, and I remember we had a cassette tape, and I would listen to. There's a song on there, Bona Senzani, and that one I used to repeat all the time.
Yeah, that was a great group. Very nice group.
Yeah, it was also it was nice because it made it infectious, right? They did a song with Benny McCarthy for the World Cup.
World Cup.
Yeah. So some of the Kwaito, like Mdu, Tebe, Arthur, there was more like hip hop, like gangster hip hop almost, And when TKZ came around, it was like I don't want to say boy band, but it was more fun, easy. It was easy going.
Yes, they smooth things out. It smoother, not that rough as the other guys. So, and then everybody changed and wanted to imitate TKZ now. So a lot of other new artists cropped up from the TKZ generation. It became like a culture.
No, it's nice. It's nice to see how things progress. What do you think of the, like, you touched on Amapiano. What do you think of this new vibe that's being created with this younger generation? I mean, we're talking about, I'm 30 now, and these artists are sometimes even 10 years younger than me. There's a record label called Awesome Tapes from Africa. And there's a guy, and I think he's maybe around Soweto somewhere. His name's Tenno Africa. And so I like his stuff, but because it's like, it's Amapiano, but it's not pop. It's still got that like deep vibe. So what do you think of all of the new stuff?
Amapiano came from house, from the modern, from the new house that just from it actually came after GOM. So then from there, people wanted to slow music down a bit, to drop the tempo. So then now Amapiano it's very much closer to Kwaito. It's just musical elements are not the same, but Kwaito artists can actually flow on the Amapiano beats.
Yes.
It's a different groove, but it's very similar. But house will like wipe them out. It wiped the Kwaito guys out because of it was too fast for them.
Yeah, too fast. Yeah.
So the Kwaito guys died out. So now Amapiano, I've been hearing some of the guys talking comebacks, so maybe we'll see one of the old guys coming up with a hit song in the Amapiano, because of now it suits their style of rap.
It's funny because I think, I'm not sure who it was that mentioned it, but they said that even in the 90s, when you had the rave scene and the acid house, a lot of that music was very fast. So that's where Kwaito came in, because they slowed it down, right? And it was more fitting with it's not too hectic, I think. So now you're seeing it again, because I suppose you had guys like Black Coffee with the Afro house kind of sound, and then it came into GOM, and now Amapiano again. So they're bringing it back down again,
And like I said, all the time, our music is controlled by dancing. So dance styles, they don't like the fast dancing.
Yeah.
So they always have the DJs, even during the house, the time of the house and GOM, when it was very big, some of the DJs slowed down the songs on when they performed live. The DJ would slow down the song and people could actually dance to it.
Yeah.
That's when artists started seeing that actually GOM is nice, people like it, but dancing to it, you need a lot of energy to do that. So close it down. Now they can fit in different styles of dancing. So the dancing styles from that formed Mapiano.
Okay. And what is your opinion on GOM in its original form? I know it's from Durban, and what do you think of it? Do you like, it's like 125 BPM usually and upwards, right? And it's quite dark, I think.
Yes, it was too fast. I mean, I've done a few tracks on that, like for DJs, for different DJs. I can't even remember, but I've done some songs in that, and I never really got into it. So yeah, so the time I enjoyed from Kwaito, but when it became house, I did a few tracks in house. I have a few tracks that were released or by different albums, like house tracks. So house, I got a little bit into it, but when it became too hard now, moving from actually deep house was more easier for me because it was more musical than the other mainstream house that was around here.
Yeah, so deep house melodies, right?
Yes. So from deep house, then when it went to GOM, then I couldn't cope up with that. It was too.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it much.
But it's funny the revolution of everything, it's like it all comes back round and it's almost the same, but not the same,
Yeah, we keep on going back to the same place again. Right now, we have Amapiano, but it's like Kwaito. So if you listen to the drum beats, the drum beats of Amapiano is more tribal than the drum beats of Kwaito. And also listen to Amapiano, they've removed the power of the kick drum. So you don't really hear a lot of the kick drum. The bass and kick drum are a little bit laid back, and music, the other parts of the music comes more forward. So that's the big difference between the Kwaito and Amapiano.
I suppose also as time changes and technology gets better and it's easier and it becomes more accessible, you've got newer ideas that can come to the light, and that itself serves as an evolution, right, to the next phase of things.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned that you're working on newer material that has a more jazzy element. Is there any new exciting projects you want us to look out for? Where can people find you online? Like, can you tell us any of that, like upcoming things maybe?
Actually, I haven't been posting my work on the social media platforms. So maybe from this year, I'm going to start doing a lot of that. But I've been on personal stuff, and you know, the influences that we had growing up is a little bit confusing to most musicians of my time that grew up around here, because of I played in clubs that way, that when you get a gig with a club, they say we want strictly reggae. You know, how the band must perform reggae, play reggae for hours. So we reggae band, you know, and next time you get another gig that says jazz. So you change from reggae to jazz now. So now I've got so many different influences. So when I work on my own music, I find myself scattered around. Sometimes when I start making a song, it ends up jazz. Or when I finish the song, it's a reggae song. So I've got too many different styles that I've done, and I'll compile different albums for different genres maybe.
Yeah, I think I can understand that completely, because sometimes, so myself, I don't produce any music and I play a lot of different styles of music, but sometimes it makes it hard because you can't necessarily, it takes maybe longer to find what is your vibe, what is your niche, you know, what is it that people can connect with. And also maybe technology also causes this, but too much choice is not always a good thing. You know, you can, if you have just very basic tools and basic elements, you can sometimes, it forces you to be creative. Whereas if you have all of these different options, you can sometimes come up with something and it's not really creative because it doesn't force that creativity out of you.
Yes.
It's
more basic influences than you creating stuff. It's more you are influenced by what's around you and all that and what you're listening to. So it's mostly influence.
Yeah.
Influence.
I think also talking about the social media, I agree too, because sometimes you can find yourself in a rat race, you know, you're like, oh, this person's doing that, this person's doing that. Oh, I need to, and you compare yourself to what's going on. This is why I want to do stuff like this year, because it helps me focus again on what it is I want to do and where do I want to go with all of this, which I think is, you have to do you at the end of the day, right? You have to do what's true to yourself.
100% true.
Well, Lucky, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Like, I will let you know how I will process all the video and put up the stuff online, and I'll send it to you when it's ready. But please, let's stay in contact. Send me music. I'll send you some stuff, and we can continue working.
I'll do so.
Yeah,
I'll do so. Send you stuff soon, maybe during the course of this week. Just stuff for you to listen. stuff. Actually, I'm gonna send you stuff that has never been released, never played on radio, never played anywhere. Some of the stuff I've been doing because of even here in Kimberley, I've been working with some young kids that want to be in the music but are not sure. So I also don't know what to do. I've done one song with a kid and they're not sure what they want to do. So for me, it's a danger for me to release the thing and the artist doesn't want to be an artist. You know, even if they but if they don't want to be an artist, it's not a good thing to release a project and you don't know what to do with it.
No,
so
100%.
but I'll send you just to listen.
But yeah, hopefully something nice can come from it.
Definitely, man. I hope so. I hope so too.
Anyway, thank you, Lucky. I will speak to you soon, okay?
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks.
Your lips just once more. Come on, baby, yeah. Come, let me kiss your lips just once more.